Austin Peay has a new Dean of the College of Arts and Letters. Dr. Buzz Hoon joins us here at Austin Peay with more than 30 years experience in the communication field. Thank you so much for joining us today here at 91.9 Public Affairs and Austin Peay's APSU-TV. I'm Micca Terrell. Dr. Hoon, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity to talk about myself, unfortunately, but also about the exciting things that we have going on in the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay.
Definitely. To get things started, for people who may not have met you yet, tell us a little bit about you and how you became involved in communication.
Okay. Well, it was, it is, as you said, a long journey, and I think that, as I was telling you before, somebody at a reception called me a 30-year communication specialist, and I said I see myself as a reformed radio broadcaster because my career began as an undergraduate. My first job was a radio news broadcaster, where I worked on, in the afternoons and on the weekends, and went to meetings almost every night except for when I wasn't on the weekends, obviously. But there were a lot of opportunities to learn about using the craft of telling stories, and I really enjoyed being on the radio. I loved being within the community, getting to know people, and helping people find out what they needed to know. I did that for about 4 years, and I decided to go back to graduate school. And then after graduate school, during that period of time, I think I was helping some other students in one of the classes sort of prep for one of the tests. And so I was leading the discussion, and I thought, this is what a teacher does. And I kind of thought to myself, maybe I should consider going into teaching. And so I think still at a very early age, I decided to give it a try. I really enjoyed teaching in higher education at Western Illinois University, is where I was first starting, and taught 4 sections of the same class, which meant I was repeating myself over and over and over again throughout the week, never really knowing if I'd already told this story or not, but I really enjoyed it, and that began my sort of time in higher education. I later went back and got my doctorate from Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and then came back and sort of rose through the professor ranks. Eventually, I became a department chair, only because at the time I was teaching sports broadcasting, had this little empire, a little major that we were doing lots of broadcasts with our sports broadcasting, had no intention at all of getting into administration, and then found again that there was an opportunity for personal growth, professional growth, and really enjoyed and felt like I was helping other people within the department and our students improve. Eventually that led to, after 7 years as a chair, becoming an associate dean and finding out what that's all about. Although no one ever says to themselves when they're a little person that they can't wait to be a dean when they grow up. But I served as interim dean during my time, during that period of time, for 3 years, and again found that this is something that I thought in this stage of my career, my life, I really enjoyed, and wanted to see if that was possible, and Austin Peay job came open, and I applied.
And that's a lot of experience, not just in the classroom, but also in the administration areas too. What lessons did you bring from all of those with you here to Austin Peay, to your position now?
That's an interesting question. I think that along the way, and my time talking with alumni over a long period of time, is that I think as you grow personally and professionally, you learn these different tools that you put into your tool belt. So I think everybody has, because based upon their own experiences, have different tools that they can bring into play as they go along. And so as a professor, I think you learned how to just talk with students and how to help them, and how you're teaching them and operating your classes. And so it's really just a very small micro group of people that you're involved with. When I became a department chair, I think there was an opportunity to get to know how other things work, how the department works, how the university, what's the mission and values and goals of the university, what are they trying to do, and how do we fit into that purpose. So I learned a little bit more about, as an administrator, things that I didn't know as a professor. You know, and then eventually within the dean's office, I think you see a little bit more about how things operate and how to deal with people that are not like the students. You know, when you have a relationship with students, it's completely different than a colleague or people that you've never met before that work in other departments. And so you're trying to learn. And I think I tried to do this along the way, get to know people, hear their stories, and I think that goes all the way back to my first job as a radio news reporter, was trying to interview people, listen to their stories, take notes, condense all that information, and then trying to tell other people about it. When you're doing that, you're sort of processing the story of somebody else. And I think, you know, if anything, that helped me over the years into where I am right now as a dean, sort of make sure that my first job is to listen to somebody and then try to hear what their story is all about.
And what interesting stories have you, obviously with only, if you joined us here August 1st,
Sure.
It's been just a few days or weeks, but what interesting stories have you been able to enjoy and be a part of so far as your tenure?
Oh, well, since I've been here, you know, the great thing is it's about exploring people. I mean, you know, one of the great things about this is I really didn't know anybody here. You know, even the people that I met on the search committee, I met for a day. So you really don't get to know anyone. I'd spent over 30 years cultivating relationships with people that I knew in all different types of ways. Some of them were people that I worked with, but there are some people that I knew through my kids. I have two kids that went through the school system, and you get to know parents, you get to know people within the community. If you go to the grocery store, you get to know people at the grocery store. So along the way, you get to know all these people and how they all interact in their life stories. Well, here, you don't get to, you know, I don't know anyone. So everyone is like a new chapter within a book that you just cracked open for the first time, and you're starting to hear a little bit, and you can't wait to find out what happens to each person along the way. And it's the same thing about our departments, you know, trying to find out all the wonderful things that happen in music, or all the wonderful things that happen in theater and dance, or language and literature, and all these different areas, including communication. You're kind of having things revealed as you go along, little by little. I kind of said it's like seeing sand be blown away from an artifact, and you think to yourself, that's what it was supposed to look like. So that's good. That's really been the exciting and the fun part about my time here at Austin Peay.
Very cool. So you feel like you're an explorer, really, on the campus, kind of exploring and learning, maybe an anthropologist almost.
I think exploring and learning would be a good description of what I've kind of been doing in my first, I think, 2 months here on campus, is just trying to find out, trying to see, because I don't want to assume anything. I don't want to come in with the assumption that something's been done right or something's been done wrong, or this is how I've gotten used to things, and so I'm trying to make sure to, first of all, that I can adapt, and then the other thing is, what can I do to help the people that have, you know, a routine and have things that are already going in place. My job is not to get in their way right now. My job is to, again, listen, condense that information, be able to take that all in, and then we can, you know, see if you know, if there are other ways that may be better ways to move forward. But there's a lot of very positive things within the college and the university that I see.
Right, and again, a little bit of time you've seen. So thank you again for joining us. You're just tuning in here to 91.9 FM and APSU-TV. I'm Micca Terrell, and we're talking with Dean Buzz Hoon. He is the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay, and has been here just since the 1st of August. So he's learning all about us here at Austin Peay and, of course, Clarksville. What are your favorite things so far about the Peay? And maybe it's the people, maybe it's the food, maybe what are your, again, with your short tenure so far, what are you enjoying?
I try to tell people, my first reaction to the university is it's a beautiful campus. And sometimes if you've been here for a period of time and you've been around the campus, you take it for granted, and maybe you realize it, but you don't. It's not obvious to you as it is to me. My first time on campus, I thought, this is wonderful. People should really value that this is a beautiful area to come and learn and to study and to grow as a person throughout their period of life. This is something that is a wonderful aspect of Austin Peay. So the beauty of it. Now, I try to tell people all the time also we need more room. It's a beautiful campus we certainly can use for, and I know that there's a building that's supposed to be built relatively soon. So hopefully that will alleviate some of that problem. But just the beauty of the campus, the different things to do within the community. I mean, every weekend my wife and I are trying to find a little bit different things to explore and to find out, like the downtown. I think that's been great to go down to the Commons area and hear music over the weekends and to have time to kind of explore and have a bite to eat somewhere. And so we've gone to some of the restaurants and just enjoyed. I mean, I can't tell you about the welcoming spirit that we found from so many people. They have been so nice to us, and it's not, you know, and maybe it is because of the Clarksville community, and I've heard that because of the military and the university brings in so many different people that you don't feel like an outsider. They are very happy to have us here and have told us that, and that's what we appreciate so much, is because it'd be very easy to say, you know, you're new here and you don't, we have our own cliques and we have our own groups, but people are very open and have a welcoming spirit.
They do, and again, it's probably, I don't know if it's just a Southern thing. I mean, because I was going to ask you, I mean, different communities are, I mean, you know, seem to be very welcoming, and Clarksville is. It's a very, again, but a very diverse place. And speaking of diversity, how would you like to encourage bringing more diversity in? Obviously, you did programs with diversity at Western Illinois.
Right.
What would you like to do here at Austin Peay to help encourage that, bring that in more?
Well, and we had a CT Vivian Scholar program, which was something that was very successful. We just started in the last year that I was at Western Illinois. CT Vivian was a friend and worked alongside Dr. King, and so he had history because he was from the Macomb area, Macomb, Illinois, and also went to Western Illinois. So there was a connection with the university. So we wanted to recognize and honor him. So one of the ways that we did that is to try to bring in new scholars, relatively new people that were either close to finishing their degrees or had just finished their degrees and needed to have that dreaded experience. You know, so many jobs require for you to have a few years of experience. So we wanted to provide that to people to increase our diversity within the faculty and to give them an opportunity to find out if the teaching area was what they really wanted to do, because that's what we focused on in their time on campus. So that was an initiative that I thought might translate well here at Austin Peay. Because I think that, again, what you're doing is trying to encourage people to come and see if this is a right situation and for both parties. And if it is, then you try to work on extending that into a longer relationship.
Right, and that's a big part. Obviously, post-COVID, any college anywhere you would go, enrollment and retention are such big things right now for everyone in higher ed, of course, and we're no different here. How do you think that we can do that? Because obviously the decline is something that everybody's seeing with COVID. It's slowly things are coming back up. What would be some good ideas maybe to bring in, or some suggestions on how to keep people coming into Austin Peay and keep those that are here?
Well, I think that especially within our college and the programs within our college, we have some outstanding programs, and we need to promote them. We need to let the rest of the state and also the region know about the programs that we have available. I want young people to come here with the idea that this is a destination. They want to come and be a part of the communication program because of the success of the students that are here and the alumni that have gone through that program. And that's about telling the story of the legacy of each program, so that people understand. You know, I think that many people that come to Austin Peay after they have gone through the program and get their degrees and have their careers, they have an outstanding love for the university and for a great thankfulness for what the program has done to prepare them for that career. So we need to package that part, that feeling, that attitude about how the programs can help a young person, and package that at the very beginning so that people will want to come here and be a part of that program. That's what I was noticing, especially in my time within administration, that we, especially at Western Illinois, we didn't have the same regional influence that Austin Peay has. A lot of people come here because of Austin Peay. We had to go get people from the Chicago area, which was 4.5 hours away. And so if you're going to do that and ask people to come to the cornfields, they better come for a good program. So that's what we're trying to tell people about. Come for the programs. Come because you will get an outstanding education that will prepare you for a career in what you're interested in. And so our programs do that. We just need to do, I think, a better job of telling that, so that we will, I think, naturally expand when we do that.
Right, and you've used, I know with your podcasting, that's a big part of what we do here in the communication department, and you have done in the past with your time in Western Illinois. How do you think social media, particularly YouTube, can be useful in bringing people's eyes and attention to our programs?
Well, I would tell people, and the reason I started the podcast, and what I did was I talked to alumni within what would be similar here to the communication program. I was from the broadcasting and journalism area, so I would talk to alums, and it sort of grew organically because I taught a class that I wanted our students to do a podcast. So I said, well, I need to do one myself. So I started this podcast and started to talk to people, but what I saw was this great reaction from students within the program that were seeing our alums and seeing how successful they were. And then they would also, then we could use that to translate and try to communicate that to prospective students, so that they understood that if they come through this program, they have the potential to go into the same career lines as these other people. I say it's like a good virus, and it can be bad. Obviously, social media can be harmful as well, but let's use it to our advantage. Let's be able to tell our story in a positive way, so that people, especially that don't know about Austin Peay, if they understand that somebody is successful and contributes part of their success to the university, then they're going to help spread our news for us. And so that association, again, is about creating that legacy that I see is so important to what we try to do with our branding or marketing, or however you want to envision that. It's about our story. And if we just need to do a better job of telling our story, let's use social media, which is the way that most people, including most young people, communicate.
Right, and I'm hoping people will watch this later when we post it on YouTube and say, hey, come and let's check it out. So in case you're just joining us, I'm Micca Terrell with 91.9 FM and APSU-TV, and I'm interviewing Dr. Buzz Hoon. He's our new Dean of the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay. We're having a great time talking about social media, of course, which most everybody is into. Of course, not everybody is into it, but it keeps a lot of students engaged, and that's my next question for you is student engagement and how we can increase that, because that's such a huge thing. A recent study I read on InsideHigherEd.com talked about how that's such a challenge now with, again, with the short attention span and with COVID and other things going on, and that face-to-face learning is still seems to be the favorite among most students. Even if simple interactions, informal ones like in the residence hall or maybe out at the UC, and informal ones like in the classroom, like those are ways that people really seem to like to be engaged. So what are your thoughts about those findings, and how would you like to increase student engagement for College of Arts and Letters?
Well, I do agree with that. It's about relationships, and part of, again, one of our benefits here within our programs is we have smaller class sizes, and so we have more interaction between faculty and students, and that's something that we should definitely let people know about. I mean, you can go to a much larger institution and be just another number. You can be a student within a class of 300, 400, 500 different other students, and try to just, you know, it's a weeding out process for some of those larger places. Here you will get to know your professors, and when you have a relationship with a professor, you're more likely to succeed because you know that there's a reason that person is there. They want you to succeed, and you feel that part. So some of the things that we try to do at my other institution that I think might be effective here would be we did a living learning community floor for freshmen where we had that for broadcasting and journalism. We moved it also to fine arts. And the idea was that young people coming in have similar types of interest, and we really saw that some of the broadcasters and the artists and the musicians and the actors all felt like they were performers in some way. They were people that were used to putting things out there for the public to see and listen to and so on. We started putting those freshmen together, and we saw a natural sort of cohort where those young people were going to concerts even though they just to see their friends, or going to a production, or stopping by at a sports production to encourage their friends. And so it was really important because, again, about establishing relationships, they were creating these natural bonds with each other. And when they have a reason to want to stay part of that social group, they're more likely to succeed in the classroom. Because we would encourage them, okay, you're all in some of you are in the same classes together. We want to make sure that you stop by and get your friends to come to class. If it's an 8 o'clock class, it's going to be hard for some people to get up sometimes, so make sure, stop by, make sure that you're getting your friends to come to class. So that sort of thing can happen as well. So the teacher-student bond and the student-and-student bond can be very beneficial.
Very much so, and peer pressure in a good way, right? And mentors, in obviously and mentorship. And we obviously have a lot of informal mentor things here already at Austin Peay. Do we need more mentor programs?
Or the recognition of that. You know, one of the things that I'm trying to encourage our departments to consider is to recognize student mentorship, because I think it happens naturally. Within departments, you can see sometimes seniors within programs, and I started to see this, and at my other institution, they would be very nurturing and want to have the next group, the freshmen, come through and be as successful and included as they felt. So they'd want to have that same sort of experience. Well, I started seeing that natural mentorship, and so I started a college recognition program where we wanted to give an award to somebody from every different department to say this is somebody that is contributing as a student mentor for other people. We recognize them with an award and a live stream event, and so it's just a way to say to somebody that we're thankful for your contributions. And when you start to do that, I think other people recognize that. I think the reason somebody is a senior sometimes is a mentor is because they feel like somebody else helped them. And so they want to give back. And so when you start that process, it just kind of feeds upon itself.
And we definitely do. I think as seniors we do, and we have a lot of grad assistants who also do that and help the underclassmen. So that's definitely something we do see as well. So we talked about a few different challenges. We talked about obviously increasing diversity, recognizing mentors, increasing the time that students, especially the same kind of cohorts, similar interests together. What other unique challenges do you see the College of Arts and Letters addressing in the next few years or so?
Well, and part of that is what I'm still trying to find out. I mean, I'm still in the learning and listening phase. And I want to be able to not make a quick judgment upon and think to myself that I've figured out, with just a couple months on campus, that I know what your issues or your problems may be. Every area, higher education, there's challenges that are going to be around. Overall, the number of high school eligible people is decreasing nationwide. And so when you have fewer students available and the same number of institutions, and really what happens, I think, is some of the larger institutions will just increase their freshman numbers and then take from the regional institutions. We have to figure out how we're going to respond and how we're going to make sure that we're distinctive enough. And so I think one of the things we have to sort of find out is what do we do that's really unique, and how do we communicate that in a consistent manner so that people, not only at our university, within the community, within the region, understand and know about our programs. So that if somebody wants to come here and study sports broadcasting, or somebody wants to be a music educator, or somebody wants to be an actor, all those kind of things, those reputations, you need to plant seeds over a longer period of time. So even though I'm still learning about some of the challenges, I think that if we start to plant the seeds today, you may see harvest later on in a few years of things that will be positive later on down the road.
Definitely, and it's always good to start early, for
it
sure.
Is.
Whether you're planting or helping expand minds, right? Definitely. We've talked about a lot. What else did you want to share before we say goodbye today?
Well, I've tried to, one of the things I'm still trying to do is get to know all the things that Austin Peay and within the college that are available. I'm still getting invitations to things, which I very much appreciate. I take people up on the offers. If anybody thinks that something may benefit, especially the college, programs within the college, please let me know. I'm open to that. I'm open to listening and hearing people's views about the potential direction that we should be heading. So I encourage that, and I'm very thankful again that people have been so welcoming to not only me but to my wife as well.
And we're glad to have you here. It's been so good talking with you so much. And again, if you're just tuning in, we're about to say goodbye, but Micca Terrell with 91.9 Public Affairs and APSU-TV, and this is Dr. Buzz Hoon. Again, he's our new Dean of the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay, and thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.